The views and opinions expressed on this channel are those of this channel and are for entertainment purposes only. Do not try this at home. And don't whine in the comments when you don't like it, because I don't care. All right, guys. Welcome back to Kamisha Reviews. In the background, well, of course, you guys know I'm doing this comedy series. I do reality TV a lot of time, but I'm excited to get into interviewing comedy. But this is a legend. Damon Williams is in the background. He has always been one of my favorites as far as a comedian. And researching him, come to find out this man has a pen and he's a writer, and we're gonna get into that. He's from Chi-Town, period. Okay, he's been in the game for 30 years. I am super excited to bring on Damon Williams. Yes. Welcome. I am so excited to have you on. Yes.
I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yes. First, let me go and get your information up on the board. Yes, period. So everybody can see what it is and what to do. But first, let me get started by saying, how did you actually get into comedy? You're a very long career, 30 years. How did you actually get into comedy?
Well, it was early 90s, actually November 92. And 92 was like the beginning of the Renaissance era of comedy because Def Jam was launched. And Def Jam opened a whole wide variety of opportunities for Black people to do comedy and to see comedy and to see Black comedians. Prior to that, you might see one or two sprinkled here and there in a white comedy club, but the whole Black comedy club experience didn't really exist on the level it does now.
Right.
Prior to the comedy jam. So, open mic, went up there, tried it, and loved it and never stopped since then.
Wow, that's what's up. Comedy right now seems to be, I mean, it's always been popular to me and a lot of other people, but it seems like this year, all of a sudden, comedy is so popping. It's been popping. And, I don't want to just say it's all because of the whole Cat Williams interview, but, honestly, I just feel like there's a big part of it. I want to know your thoughts on that.
Well, anything we can do to stimulate interest in the comedy game is positive, even though this back and forth beefing and name calling and accusations and such is not really a good look, especially amongst African American comics, especially amongst Black men. First of all, it's almost like they sitting around and gossiping, and that that ain't a good look to start with. And then it's one these personal beefs that go beyond industry issues. Like, for instance, to say somebody stole your joke is the one thing, then but to talk about how a person's characteristics or they look, or it's gotten to the point where now comedians are talking about their spouses and other things have taken place in the last couple of weeks. And so I think it's getting out of hand in that sense. And as men, it's really not a good look as far as that's concerned. Now, of course, Monique, being a woman, also added a little fuel to the fire. If she had her own personal grievances, and her beefs were mostly with the industry and not so much with fellow comedians. But it's still got people talking about comedy. It's got radio stations talking about comics. It's got those same outlets and social media all interviewing us and things of that nature. So it brings more light and attention to the situation. Now, hopefully, we can use this as a springboard to like reignite the comedy game, because it has been peaks and valleys over my 30 years where I've seen it at its height and then I've seen it dip, and now it's in a renaissance. Like I said, this is like the second coming. With the emergence of social media, it's made it a whole different thing. Only thing about that, and I'm not one of those old heads that's I call us traditional comedians that have a problem with social media comics, and I call them that if that is the platform that launched them or brought them to the awareness. It doesn't necessarily mean it's their time, it's their thing, what they do in this time. And some of them have translated the skits over to the stage and have done it well. So I give them credit for having that ability. And it's also it's brilliant to be able to entertain people in a 90-second clip, or even they started with Vine videos at 15 seconds.
Yes.
So that's how I feel. Comedy is alive and well. I just want people to know that there is an art to this and there's a craft. And if you see a true professional stand-up comedian, that didn't just happen from him jumping on YouTube or social media and putting on
Mm.
a dress or a mustache and acting like an old lady and getting, a club sold out. Once it comes time to stand and deliver, that's a whole different game.
So recently, Mike Epps did an interview, and he actually spoke about. He was talking about because Corey Holcomb has a podcast on YouTube, and everyone knows about. And Corey Holcomb's been getting talked about because how raw he's been on podcasts. But one of the things that Mike Epps said, he said, he thinks those guys are, courageous to say what they want to say, but he feels like because he's on TV doing these things on Netflix that he can't do that. It's a different lane. I want to know, do you agree with that like a Corey Holcomb couldn't get a TV show because the way he is constantly dragging comedians on his podcast? Or I don't want to say dragging, but just pretty much talking about him, calling Donald Rollins mild, all of that type of stuff. So I was curious of your opinion about that.
Well, it's an opinion-based podcast, and one thing Corey does, and he and I had a run-in. It was very public, and it was a big issue that we squashed. So I'm speaking very cautiously right now because I
Mm,
don't want to reignite that because our fan bases are both kind of intermingled. We're both from
gotcha.
Chicago, you know what I mean, and we both get like some some hot heads that support us. And like I said, he and I have squashed it. I still have people, to comment on me. Well, Corey going blah 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 with you,
Oh
and me and him
wow.
I'm like, why are you still mad? And me and him not mad. We good. So let's start with that. But his show is his opinion, and he doesn't answer to any corporate entity, and there's no one else that suffers repercussions of his actions or his statements. So he has the right and the ability to be as raw and as um, outrageous or controversial, or however you want to describe what his lane is, as he wants to be, and it's working for him because he has a niche that he caters to, and it's work. That's his base. And the thing of it is, I've noticed that even if he says something inflammatory, if he is fact checked on it, he will come back and to certain people he's apologized or corrected his statements. So that being
Right.
said, that's one thing.
Mhm.
Kevin Hart, on the other hand, is Kevin Hart Heartbeat Productions. There's a radio station. There's movies. There's live shows. There's productions of others people's specials. So anything Kevin does directly could affect the trickle down of all those people that he employs. And same for Mike. He's on Netflix. He's
Mm,
on the Upshaws. He has a corporate entity that he has to kind of abide by. He can't go off on a tangent about any religious sect or any lifestyle choice. And these are communities that I'm, being tactful in mentioning,
right,
um,
right.
because of what the action will cause or create for other people. It's just like Roseanne. She snapped out, and they had to kick her off the show, or the whole show would have to go away. You
Yeah,
know, so you got to
yeah,
watch
that
what
was a
you
myth
say,
too.
and
Mhm.
people have a tendency to nitpick interviews and pick the most inflammatory things and put them together in a way that changes the narrative sometimes. So you
Yep.
got to watch everything you say now. And the world is so full of negativity. Everybody only
Mm,
runs with the negative. So,
yes, correct.
for instance, with the Corey Holcomb and Lil Rel situation,
Mhm.
I watched Lil Rel's portion of the show, and Lil Rel said, "I love my big brother Corey Holcomb," but then he said he be saying some crazy stuff. But then whoever put the clip together went on to add where it's like, "But I know he's not doing the work. I know they not doing the work, and they buying cars and jewelry." And he wasn't saying that directly about Corey. So by the time Corey saw it, if he didn't see it directly, and I'm just speculating here, he took it as a direct insult, and he went back and went hard on him. And and that's unfortunate. First of all, both of them from Chicago. We all came up together. I would love to see Corey, D. Ray, Craig Robinson, Dion Cole, myself. The list goes on. Just Niche, all these Chicago entities come together and do a package like Adam Sandler and his people do.
Mm,
You
yes,
know, each
yes,
one of
yes.
them put each other on in their movies. If Rob Schneider has a movie, Adam's going to do a cameo. The guys, Seth Rogen and his squad, they all get together and they write and they combine forces and they prosper. Our guys are now not only competing with each other, they're beefing at each other, and there's no win with that. You know what I mean? We
Mhm.
got Hannibal Buress. We got so many talented people that have come out of Chicago that have influence.
Yes, a
That
lot of Chicago's, yes.
Yeah,
It's
that
crazy.
together, Adele Givens, if we all did a project, the Chicago project, it would be phenomenal and it would be successful and we would all
Yes.
prosper. So
It would be
That's my
everything.
mindset.
That would be, it would be everything.
Yeah,
You are a very talented brother, and I know you on which is actually still airing all the Queen's Men special on
yeah.
Netflix. The question I want to ask is, when are we gonna see? We got these Netflix specials coming out. When is yours coming out? I hope it's coming out soon, if you can say it, because I'm waiting to watch you up there for about an hour, because I know it's gonna be
Yeah,
straight hilarious.
I mean, of course, I would love to say it'll be out tomorrow. My thing, I've been on the fringe of the industry, so I'm a stand-up
Mm,
road comedian. I do my thing. I promote my own shows around, Chicagoland, and then I take gigs around the country. So I'm not in the cusp of that, but they did get an eye or a peek at me with the platform that Samoa shared with myself and Toure, Tony Schofield, and D.S. Sanders. We were the Queen's Men.
mhm.
Um, so I think what I'm gonna have to do actually is do it independently. Now I do have a project that is now available to the public, and you can see me do my thing multiple times. And it's a series called Laugh Tonight with Damon Williams,
Yep.
which was launched on a black streaming network, excuse me, called Urban Flix. But
Mhm.
now it is available and for free on the
For free.
amazing platform of Tubi. So
How did that
everybody has
connection
Tubi.
happen? Yes,
Everybody can watch it.
I was gonna ask you that. How did that connection even happen to get that started? We on another platform and then it went to Tubi. How did that happen? I was wondering how those connections happen.
Well, that happens. All the Queen's Men, which ended up on Netflix, actually was licensed originally to BET. So BET had it, and let's,
Mm,
let's check this out. And I'm gonna start a little rumor, a little mess with this one.
mm,
BET licensed it. They may have shown it one time. I heard about 1 a.m. on BET Her,
mhm,
and then they
mhm.
didn't show it anymore. But now they have a series called All the Queen's Men. So I don't know
They
if
do.
which was first, but I do know that they pushed that and they shelved us. It was a blessing for us because by it not being shown widely on BET's platform, Netflix found it viable and put us on. So I'm on Netflix
Wow.
that way. My
Period.
project, yeah, that's God. He knows what it is, and we shot that in
100%.
2020 or 2019 or something like that. And for it to be on the shelf, luckily it was pre-COVID, so it wasn't a lot of COVID material, so it wasn't
Right.
dated, and it came
Mm,
out and it was fresh and it was beautiful. Just like our show, Laugh Tonight, which is on Tubi, it is pre-COVID. It was it was 2 weeks before they shut the world down when we wrapped.
that's
So
crazy.
there's one mention of the coronavirus. It didn't even say COVID. That one, the last comedian did because he was the last one, and it was starting to get more conversation about it.
Yeah.
And we had no idea the pandemic was coming. But you take your shots where you can get them. I mean, I have a lot of stuff on Tubi. Amazon Prime is another outlet where if I
Okay.
do an independent project, it can land there. I'm in talks with some guys who work with All Black, and they're shooting specials now. So Netflix is the standard that people go by now, but there's a lot of other opportunity and platforms out there. So wherever I land, it will be, as you stated, hilarious. And I'm gonna give them the fun. I just don't want to put something out for the sake of having something out and
I get
waste
that.
the
I get that.
situation. Yeah,
Because you're known for being extremely funny, and they would come at you like, "Hey, that's not," because you come correct every time you get on stage. And I've been watching you on everything you've done, to be honest, before I became a blogger. So I know you are extremely talented. So would
thank
you
you.
ever go on Club Shay Shay? That's the question I'd like to know. I mean, answer,
Yeah,
bro.
I mean, I do all interview requests to be honest. And Shay Shay is a platform that definitely gets some eyeballs. And
Yes.
fortunately, I was mentioned on it in a good light. Lil Rel had to tell the story of his first time doing stand up, and my name was mentioned in high regard in that story because he used one of my jokes because he didn't realize, as a new comic, that he was using something he had heard, in his
Mhm.
psyche, and he was explaining that's how some people end up doing other people's jokes. Sometimes you'll have this epiphany, and you'll sit up in the bed in the middle of the night and be like, "Man, it's funny," and you write it down. Then the next day you realize that was Bill Cosby's joke in
Wow.
1979,
Wow.
or his premise. So but yeah, I would do it, of course. I would do Vlad, I'd do all that because I feel like not only is this vital and important for now for us to get our voices out, but
Mhm.
this is posterity. People look back at your interviews 10 years from now, and
Ye
so I'm all about legacy at this point, not only in my career but in my life because I'm getting up there. So now what matters is the legacy I leave. I noticed how Bernie Mac, God rest his soul, the big
Yes.
homie from Sky,
Mhm.
um, he didn't have enough of his personality and legacy documented because we didn't have this much social media. So
Oh
there are a
man.
few rare interviews with Bernie. There's not a definitive 1 hour special. You know, the Kings of Comedy is the only special that was put out.
Yeah.
Fortunately, we did record the Kings of Comedy tour, which I was privy to be a part of for
Oh
the
yeah, I was
30
gonna ask you about that. That was
show.
my next question. I
Yeah,
was gonna say, how was it working with
we'll talk
Bernie?
about
You
it.
going into it?
Yeah,
You going into it?
yeah, we'll
I
talk
just wanted
about
to
it.
know. I just wanted to know how
But
was it working with Bernie. But go ahead.
yeah, so a lot of he was about to do a special, and that
Okay.
was going to be his retirement for stand up. This is words from his mouth to my ears.
Mm,
He wanted to go on a tour. I was going to go as the host, and he was going to tour and record it, and then that was going to be his retirement for stand up because he was dealing with health issues. But his main goal was to get his show into syndication so he can kick back and deal with his health and relax.
mm.
Um, but to your question, my point of me mentioning him though, I don't want to look up and years later my story is not documented in
Mm.
my own words. So that's why I'm
Ah,
doing every interview request. I'm all over YouTube. If you Google me now, I think a lot of stuff will pop up. Now,
I did.
if you
I
want
saw.
to fast, yeah, if you want to fast forward to the next question about how was it working with Bernie on the Kings, I um I grew up in the comedy game under Bernie Mac and George Wilborn. George
Mm.
Wilborn was the house MC at All Jokes Aside, which is the preeminent black-owned comedy club of the '90s. It was the epicenter of just black comedy. Everybody you saw that hit Def Jam or Apollo or Comic View, the main place they would perform would be Chicago's All Jokes Aside. In fact, the first original headliner before they even got their permanent space was Jamie Foxx. So Jamie
Oh
got his
wow.
start. Jamie came through there. Steve Harvey was one of the guys who helped the club get on because he did the morning radio here in Chicago and he talked
Mm.
about the club. Cedric the Entertainer, Dave Chappelle came and did the festival way back when he was in that movie Robin Hood Men in Tights. But everybody who was anybody, the old heads like Ronaldo Ray and Thea Vidal
Oh
and
wow.
Simply Marvelous. So I grew up watching all of them. Bernie though, Bernie was he was the king of Chicago before he was the king of comedy. And so he would have a Monday night at a place called the Cotton Club, and every Monday was like a variety show, which basically they turned that into his variety show on HBO, which was Midnight Mac. So we all, your stamp of approval or your sense of legitimacy in Chicago was if Bernie said you could do one of his nights or one of his dates. So once Bernie tapped you, you felt like you really had
Mm.
arrived in Chicago comedy. And so I only not only ended up doing his shows, it became a point where when he started hitting the road pretty heavy, he would have me host in his spot. So that's when I knew, I was somebody,
Mm.
personally in the
Ah,
game. So he had a lot of confidence and faith in me. Whenever I started promoting my own shows, he would always come and work out, and he would make a point of doing the room, and he would come and say, he'd call me that day. You on tonight? Yeah, all right, I'll be up there and I'm gonna say something. That was his way of saying he wanted to go up and I'm gonna say something. And he would come. Sometimes he would talk for an hour,
mm,
and it would
okay.
be crazy because if he came and he was ready to go up, whatever was on the sheet of the lineup was scratched. It's like y'all can still go up, but it's gonna be after Bernie. So
Wow.
yeah, but
That's
a lot of
crazy,
guys,
man.
we sat around and watched him develop some of his material right there in those rooms, and
Oh
it
wow.
was a shame to see him, come to his demise at such an early age when he was just about to peak and go even further.
And blow up. So I
Yeah.
I, I do want to ask you this about Bernie. That a lot of things that did come out as far as the Cat Williams situation. I'm sorry, interview when he spoke about how Bernie Mac was about to come up, like you're saying, and that even the whole thing with the Steve Harvey, his beef, and then saying Steve Harvey was trying to step on his toes a little bit with the movie and all this thing. That was just like that was crazy for me to hear. And you were close to Bernie. Is there anything legit about that? Because he said a lot, and some people are saying it's not true. Some people saying it is. Do you have the answer to that, or do you just not know? What do you think?
I mean, Bernie's own words discussed that issue in the GQ magazine article. Now he said, no, Steve Harvey said that when he spoke to Bernie, Bernie said he never said those things. But I find it hard to believe that GQ would print something. So I doubt if Bernie told Steve that, to be honest.
Mm,
I do know during the tour that there was some dissension. Bernie would point out certain things that he was uncomfortable with when it came to Steve on the tour, but they were getting money, you know.
Yeah.
So you ain't got to be best friends to get money together,
True.
and that's the point I'm trying to make with this current generation. You know,
Mm.
y'all, so you got something you don't like about a dude. First of all, we all dudes. You ain't got to worry about liking me. That's my thing. Everybody ain't got to like me, but if we can get some money together, let's get some money together. Just like, and I don't mean to get off topic, but
No, you
I
good.
book a lot of shows, and a lot of times cats be, I hear rumblings about, well, that dude, he don't, forget that dude, he don't book me, or something, he don't like me. I
Mm.
might not know you, right? I might
Mm.
not have heard of you. I might not have seen your joke, or you might be the type of person that don't fit the opportunity. So a lot of
Okay.
people think that they should be on every show, every platform. Whenever they see a flyer, they feel
Mm.
like their face should have been on there. But look at that
Uh,
flyer and see who you could replace and sell the same amount of tickets. You know, that's not the
wow.
criteria. Sometimes it's not how funny you are or how
Hmm.
many followers you got. It's how many tickets you sell,
Interesting.
and
Interesting.
then do you fit in a chemistry stance? So sometimes it's not personal. We all dudes and ladies, of course, but we men. So quit getting in your feelings about this comedy game. A lot of these people that are in this business would not be friends or associates or in the same clique together if they didn't know each other through comedy. It's
True.
different personalities, different background. Some of us come from the street. Some of us come from Ivy League. Some of us come from
Mm.
suburbs. Some of us come from the hood. And no way these two dudes would be hanging out together unless they were put on the show by a promoter. So we're not all friends, but it's not personal. That's what
It's
people have to
business.
realize.
It's business,
It,
or it
it's a
should be.
business person. If you don't learn the business and get out your feelings, this business will hurt your feelings.
Come on
It's a,
now.
it's a,
Preaching
it's a
today.
rough game. Yeah,
You
it's a
preaching
rough game.
today.
So,
Preaching.
and then sometimes you feel like you're prepared for an opportunity that you're really not. And, and,
Mm.
and the fact that you get denied that opportunity may have done you a favor. I'll give you an example personally. I thought in 1994, after doing Comic View, that I was ready to do Def Comedy Jam, you know, and I felt like I got passed over for Def Jam. It must have been personal. I don't know what he did, because
Mm.
I just ripped Comic View, and I'm killing it on these shows in
You
Chicago and blah
was.
blah blah. But that audience, that room was a whole different beast than Comic View, which was a prepared audience. It was an LA
Mm.
vibe. It was a laid back scenario. New
Okay.
York audiences they come out the womb being taught how to boo.
Yeah.
That's the whole
Mm.
Apollo mindset in New York. And
Apollo. Yeah. Hmm.
yeah,
Hmm.
and if your style of dress was different, or if your cadence is different, they attack that. That's why Bernie had to come out and say, "I ain't scared of you, motherfucker," because they were destroying people before he went on stage. So I thought I was ready to go, but I might have been scared of them by the time I got there. So when they passed me up a couple of
Mm.
times, when I was in my mind ready, even though I thought I was prior to that, the set that I would have used on Def Jam that
Hmm.
year, which I actually hosted the auditions. And normally, if you're the host of the audition when they come to town, you automatically a shoe in. I don't know what happened. I didn't get selected, and thank God for that, because
Wow.
when I did TV, when I did TV, I would never repeat the same joke. Like if I did Comic View, I wouldn't use these jokes on Def Jam, because you don't want people to see you doing the
Hmm.
same thing, even though you can. The set that
Yeah.
I
Yeah. Yeah.
did
Hmm.
for Comic View that year was the set that won the competition, which Comic View was, and that's how I got an hour special on BET. Now, if I'd have done Def Jam, I probably wouldn't have used those jokes,
Wow.
and I may not have won. So, then I went on to become a staple on Comic
Wow.
View. I did it 12 times, 12 seasons. And people used to ask me stupid question, why
Oh
you
yeah. You
keep
was
doing
everything
Comic
on
View? You
Comic
only go
View.
get, yeah, I was king Comic View. So they like, why you keep doing Comic View? What you
Mm.
getting out of that? I said, why do McDonald's still advertise? Right?
Come on now.
Everybody know about McDonald's, but they still got McDonald's commercials.
Hmm.
So until I got my own TV show, that was my TV show. So, it's just
He
funny
was
how
smart.
people, view things. Yeah, of course. It's
No,
the
I knew,
same
I knew,
until it's
I knew,
better.
I knew you from I knew you from Comic View. The thing about it, I watched Comic View religiously. No matter
Yes.
where I saw you, I was like, I know him. I don't care if you were standing in a scene. I knew you out of everybody there. Like I watched Comic View so much, so I don't think you realize the fan base. Only black comedy show that you can watch if you had cable on BET. Now, if you didn't have the big cable, that was a
Yeah.
limited thing. There was not a lot of that, especially at that time. So it was a big fan base. So whoever said that does not know their history. Man,
Yeah,
I
they
saw my
slow.
Comic View on YouTube.
Man, Comic View was not only was it great because it was free cable, basic cable,
Yeah.
but also they only shot a limited amount of shows. So the reruns, you know,
Oh,
they would show the rerun, then they would take clips of your set and put those in best of and rerun it again.
yes.
So, that and the thing that really a lot of people ask me, and I just had a conversation with a comedian, my man Stick, today. He asked me like, and I know he made a statement. He said, and I know with the talent that you have and the accomplishments that you have achieved, it still got to bother you that some people that are less talented have gone further or bigger names. And I said, well, to be honest, it really doesn't bother me because people don't know my journey or
Mm,
my desire
mm.
or what I consider success. So,
Wow.
it's one thing to be famous. It's another thing to be rich. It's another thing to be rich and famous. I want to fall in the middle of all of that because there's a price that comes with fame. And I've seen it. I have some very famous friends. All the kings of comedy are my friends. Cat Williams, D. Ray, Dion Cole, they're famous. But I see what they go through. I see
Mm,
how it changes people around you. It changes how you move, where you move. I'm not trying to have a dude walking with me. And now, don't get me wrong. I'm not gonna block my blessing.
right.
If greater stardom and success come with it, then I'm open
There you
to it.
go.
I'm
Okay.
not chasing it though.
Mm-hmm.
But I still like the fact that me and my mother can go out and eat, and it ain't a
Mm.
big issue. It might be somebody say, "What up, Damon Williams?" or "Hey,
Right,
Damon,"
right,
but
right,
it ain't.
right.
They not clamoring, you know. And if you ever do, I put it this way: being notable and being known by people is a blessing and a curse.
Mm.
And sometimes you might not be at your best, or you might be having a bad day, or you might just not feel like being on right now, or you might be eating, or you might be creeping. Dudes be doing shit, if your ass is famous, your dumb
Well, she
ass,
was going in Motel 6. They caught you around the corner.
right. Yeah, you done got famous. Now your ass is still trying to go up here in Chicago. You at the Plaza
Oh,
Inn. Your
that's
dumb
Kiki
ass,
Kiki over
you
there.
know, but these are jokes. I'm married. I'm good. Just so you know. And it's my wife
Oh,
in the
no, I
next
know
room
you.
right now.
I know you just.
Yeah. But my point is, anonymity is valuable. So I
Mm,
realized that more so during the pandemic when I had the mask on and I'm going in and out of Home Depot and nobody ain't say nothing to me, you know?
mm,
And I'm like, wow, it was kind of liberating. So
right.
imagine if on a greater scale, because people say I'm in Chicago, they know me around town.
Mm,
Everywhere I go, it's not an issue, but it's cool every once in a while you're on a plane or something, somebody want to take a picture, and that's cool. But
hmm.
imagine every step you take, every room you walk
You couldn't
in,
do nothing.
every
Mm,
time you're at a restaurant, you trapped by your own fame and success. So I don't want to be that guy. And a lot of times it's your demeanor. If you make yourself available, they clamor less. When you try to be reclusive and and off-putting, then it makes it more of a TMZ moment. So I'm all over the place, but these are the things that come with this business. And I'm glad that I was able to do Comic View. I'm glad I was able to do Def Jam eventually. I'm glad I
mm.
now have my own series, which will eventually get some hits because it's on
Yes.
Tubi. It's free.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And people, so my legacy is intact in that way.
Yes.
Now I'm just
Yes.
trying to improve upon it, trying to, like I say, do my own special. I want a national
Yes.
tour that I can headline or produce and get that money off that. And then that's those are my current goals. If film and television come from that acting roles, I audition consistently, but until the part that's meant for me or God sees for me to have, until I get that role, I'm fine producing shows here at Riddle's Comedy Club and doing all the funny bones and improvs around the country, making a living off my craft, enjoying my family and my free time.
What I want to ask you about, because you do the comedy at home, as you said, that's your home. Do you get a different response when you're not in Chicago?
Yeah, of course, people are happier to see you when they don't see you, you
Mm,
know. But I get a lot of love at home though. It's like, to be honest, it's almost on par. So by me being from here, you would think people take you for granted, and when you go to a show, no, that's Damon, But no, they want to take the picture. They want to get the photo op. They want to have the conversation. They want to tell me a story about when one time they were watching this show and blah blah blah. You said this, or what about that joke you did? Blah blah blah. Or it might be a situation where 15, 20 years ago, they were in the audience and I roasted them or they said something. Remember I heckled you and you did this? So it's really universally pretty much the same. I get just as much love at home as I do on the road, and
That's
that's
what's
that's
up.
that's rare. But that's because I've embraced Chicago. I wear Chicago like a badge of honor, and I basically
You do.
branded myself
Hmm.
as a Chicago comedian, and I represent the Chi when I leave here.
So I do have this final question. I have to, when I found out that you were a writer on Sherry, I was like, oh my god, that's phenomenal. How did that even happen? That's big.
But Sherry's from Chicago. Let's start with that. And
Mm,
I didn't actually write for the talk show except for the episode that I appeared on.
okay.
But I was a punch up writer for her when Sherry was going on tour with Kim and Babyface, and she hadn't been on the
Okay.
road like that. She had never done a music tour, and so it's different from doing a comedy show because of the
Okay.
fan base and the different elements or what they might throw her into when they're changing the instruments behind her and the set change. So she knew that I had toured with music acts, and so she grabbed me and said, I need you to help me punch up my set. So we went on the road. We went to New York, and did Caroline's for a weekend with Flame Monroe. Flame had a weekend up there, and Sherry wanted to work out, so they put me on the show so I could watch her set and give her some pointers. And then when it was time to go on tour, the first three shows I went with her, and I was feeding her lines, and she went right out and did them. She was such
Mm,
a professional. Sherry is cold blooded. That's why she's such a natural on this show because she's fearless, and she's
mm,
wonderful. She's a nice, genuine. That person you see on that talk show, it ain't like the lights go down and she turned into some diva. Sherry Shepherd is the bomb. She was raised Jehovah's Witness. She's from the South Side of Chicago, and she real as they come. So when it came time for them to get the show,
wow.
when I went on, she was a temporary host. She was
Okay.
a fill-in.
Hmm.
But I helped her punch up the top stories, and I did a Q&A once in the audience, and that was a role that I thought I might fall into. But the show was already established. It wasn't her show yet. Season one, you
Got
don't
it.
have a whole lot of power. You
Hmm.
got to get your feet in. Her pledge to me was, let me get to season three, and we'll talk about bringing you in as a permanent writer. But
All
you can't
right.
just yeah, but you can't displace people that are already there. They've been on the show.
True.
The
True.
parent company that owned the Wendy Williams show still owns the Sherry show, and those people have been
Mm,
on that show forever. You know what I mean? So you don't just come in and shake
okay.
things up.
Of
The only
course.
thing she was able to do, and she had to fight for it, was to bring John Murray, her executive producer,
Hmm.
because they wanted to keep everything as it was. But she fought and got him in. That was the best thing she could have done because their chemistry is on
It
point,
is.
and his ties throughout the industry, the people he know, he's well respected and well known, and so it's working, and they're winning awards, and the viewers are up, and I'm really proud of them. So I'm glad I was able to be there in the initial stages, and if not, I become a writer or a part of the show. I'm rooting for Sherry, and I want y'all to keep watching and keep supporting, and do whatever you can. If you see something she posts, repost it. All of that matters now to networks, especially Twitter for some reason. People love the networks really believe Twitter. They put a lot of emphasis on Twitter, but
Yeah.
also Instagram and now Threads. So if you like somebody, support them. A like don't cost you nothing. A like and a view, even if you
A
don't watch the
hundred
whole
percent.
clip,
Come on.
tap on people's stuff. Yeah, tap on it and keep on about your business. If you support what they do, you ain't got to agree with it. Even if you don't like it, a like is a like. Um, if you want to see them continue to do what they do, and shows like this, you got to subscribe to the YouTube. You got to repost the clips. Tell people, share this stuff because exponentially we have the power to be
Mm,
self-contained without dealing with the networks and the underbelly of the industry and all this that kooky
mm.
freakiness that's going on
Yes.
that they talk
Yes.
about,
Yes.
just like that Quiet on the Set documentary out there and all the stuff that was happening with them, the youth.
Yeah.
It's a dirty game, so we need to be self-contained. We need to get back to being who we were, like in the early '90s when everything was red, black, and green, and FUBU and cross colors and
Yes. Come on now.
different
For you,
worlds.
but yes. Hmm.
That vibe, we need that vibe back, man, because without us, there is no us.
Mm,
Seriously.
that's it. So, uh, you're on there still funny as a tour. Where's your next stop? Let's let everybody know where's your next stop. What's going on?
I'm perpetually on tour, so you can look up DamonWilliamsComedy.com. By the time you see this, some of these dates will have transpired already. But I'm off to several places, and I do the Martha's Vineyard Comedy Festival every
Hmm.
year, every
Hmm.
August. It's a
Ooh.
3 week festival.
Hmm.
We've been doing this our 14th year, and this year we went all out. We have DL. we have Dion Cole, we have Sherry Shepard,
Oh
we have
wow.
Kim Whitley, we
Mm.
have Ryan Davis. And then it's a full list of comics. We started out very small. Um, Prior to that, there's an annual cruise called Festival at Sea. It's an all-black cruise. It sails out every year, and it sails out every year. So sail and sail. And that's a black woman who started this thing, and they've been doing it about 30 years, 32 years now. I just came off the Capital Jazz Super Cruise, but my dates are usually at Funny Bones around the country. So I got Richmond, to Orlando, uh, Toledo. I just finished Dayton. So look at DamonWilliamsComedy.com. All my dates are posted. Comment in this thing because I'm gonna be watching it and I'll be looking in the comments and responding and replying. Hit me on Instagram, Damon Williams Comedy. I'm on there all day, every day. Matter of fact, I think I got carpal tunnel from messing with my phone all
I'm
damn
gonna
day.
have I'm gonna have all your links in the chat while the live is
Yeah,
premiering. I'm also gonna have it in the description so they can click on it. Plus, it's about to put the banner down so they can actually see it right here as well. So I'm gonna make sure they'll be able to get to that.
yeah.
Man, this has been like I don't know, it's been an awesome interview. I love an interview where it's like not an interview for me, it's like a conversation because you just a genuine dude like that. And it's also exciting because I've watched you for years and been a fan for years before I even thought I was gonna be a blogger. So for me, it's just like it's just everything. So I just wanted to say I appreciate you stopping by this Queen's Palace and take some time out your busy schedule because you are booked and busy and super underrated. Super underrated. You are hilarious effortlessly, and I just really want to see that come up for you. You do it good, but I mean, literally,
Oh no, we working on it. Don't
I
worry
just want
about
to
it.
see it. You deserve it.
Yeah,
You deserve it.
it's
Some
a
I
it's a
see people,
work in
I
progress.
see thumbs who.
Yeah,
Not saying they don't deserve it, but I'm saying like I was
yeah.
actually earlier, they are
Well, the
less
thing of it is,
talented.
people, let's tell these people right now, and everybody, every interview I'm doing, I'm saying this now. Give me my flowers right now, like she's doing right now. Don't wait until you look up now. Every time you see a Bernie Mac clip, oh, do I miss him? Oh,
Mm,
he was so great. Oh, I wish we just one more show. You can do these. You can see these shows now. Okay, let me
period.
know now. Don't even wait till I'm retired or senile or God
Oh no, I
forbid
see now. Mm-hmm.
moved on.
You are
Ain't
the
no telling.
greatest. You are
Yeah,
hilarious. Period. Okay. You better know it. Okay.
yeah.
Come to
So
Dallas,
yeah,
I'm
and,
going. If
and
you ever
trust
come
me.
to Dallas, I'm going. If you ever come to
Let me
Dallas.
tell all these people, and this now I'm gonna get on my swag.
Okay, talk
Joke
your
for
shit.
joke, joke for joke. I don't care who your favorite comedian is. On par, I'm gonna be right there with them, or even better.
Mm,
I just finished a six run tour with the Straight Jokes No Chaser, and I held my own with D.L. Hughley, Bruce, Mike Epps,
mm.
Earthquake,
Wow.
Sid. They all gave me my kudos because we've been doing it the same amount of time. I'm just
Mhm.
not as famous yet, but I got the chops. So if you see me on the show and you really read the flyer, it says Damon Williams, not Damon Wayans. You make sure
They better get it
you make
right.
sure yeah, you make sure you buy that ticket, man, because it's worth it. And that's the only way they're gonna bring me back. So I love everybody. Anybody who has had any type of beef or static throughout the industry, I pray that you all squash that
Mm.
and we come together as men and women, as adults and professionals and colleagues and comrades, and let's take this comedy thing to the next level as a unit and get this money.
Yes. Well, again, this made my entire freaking weekend. We had the king of comedy, Damon Williams, is on here. Once again, I want to say I appreciate you taking time out your day, your busy schedule, because you are booked, like I said, to come on my platform. So I'm just want to say thank you again. And guys, I will have all his links, everything to his channel, to his website. You guys can follow, get tickets, and go see him because if y'all have not seen Comic View, it's on YouTube. I watch full episodes all the time. There's some new Comic View coming out really quick. Are you gonna
Yeah.
be involved with that new Comic View? I just wanted to ask you that.
They shot it as a pilot already. I just watched it,
Mhm.
and I don't know if they're going to continue it because that was a one of. They just took a
Mm,
weekend to test it. It's Kevin Hart's behind it, so it's a very great possibility. I have been lobbying BET for 3 years to
mm,
do a reunion and a retrospective look back at Comic View because it's launched so many amazing
yes.
careers. And I wanted to do it like this. I pitched it during COVID. I'm saying this publicly so it can be out there. I
Okay.
pitched it during COVID. I wanted to do Comic View a look back and interview each person as we're doing now, but then show their first comic view appearance,
Hmm.
and then have them discuss what comic view meant to them and what it did for their career, and and then have it, of course, come back or do a special or a series again. So it may be in the works. I did plant the seed, and then I looked up and it was out there. And of course, some of the people I planted the seed with are involved, but that's life. I would love to see
Interesting.
a vehicle like Comic View come back, but my show is similar. If you look at Laugh Tonight with Damon Williams, it's 24 comedians. It's 3 per
I saw.
episode,
Yes.
and you get their backstory. I interview each one of them and give them a chance to tell about who they are, and then you see what they do. So make sure you all watch that show. Even if you don't watch a whole episode, click on it, thumb it up, keep it moving. It's a great show.
Yes.
It gets better as the episodes progress because it was a new production, but it's a great show, and I hope everybody gets a chance to check it out.
I love the format. It does give me comic view, but kind of with your spin on it. And I hope that it looks like to me, I feel like Netflix should pick it up. And I know that if people are saying that Tubi, some of these shows are getting picked up by big production. I see that as being one of them. So, or Amazon Prime, it's probably somewhere they're picking up Tubi stuff too. So I see it happening. But King,
Yeah.
thank you for coming on. I appreciate you taking time out of your day. And again, all blessings and everything else to you. Guys, this is Kamisha Reviews, the queen of reality TV, the queen of everything, period.